What is going on, everyone? It's Jeremy here with Simple Disc Golf, and I thought we would just take the time today to go through all the molds that I've thrown from Doomsday and just put them into a tier list for you guys. I'll give quick descriptions of kind of how they fly and hand feel and stuff like that, and why I liked them or disliked them. And before we start, I just want to mention on their Survivor sponsored team. So while I do really like Doomsday discs, I will be critical of some of the discs on this list. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to start from slower discs and slowly get faster. I hope you guys are able to see these pictures pretty easily. But first disc on the list, let's see. It's going to be the Proximity Mine. Now, I really like the Proximity Mine. It's kind of unique. It's got like a thumb track top, but then almost like a polecat kind of rim. It does come in a premium plastic though. Mine is pretty beat in because I've had it for a while because I really liked it when I first got it. But they're just kind of like they're just a stable putter. They still fly just as far as the 3 speeds, but it's listed as like a 1 or a 2 speed. It's listed with 1.5 fade. I'd probably say more like 1. So I'm gonna put it in B tier, just kind of middle. I really liked it personally, but I'm not gonna use my personal bias into this as much. I'm gonna try to anyways. Um, so yeah, we'll give it a B. Just kind of in the middle. Not good, not bad, just a good spot. Definitely a unique hand feel though, with that polecat rim plus a thumb track top. So if you're looking for something kind of a unique hand feel, it would be a good choice. Next on the list, we'll look at the Cyber putter here. So, you should be able to see this. The Cyber putter, they were kind of trying to make fun of the Cybertruck a little bit. I only have the tester that they sent me, but I assume that the main production line ones are the exact same. But the idea was that it has no curves, only angles. This gives it a very weird hand feel, as well as it being beaded on the bottom. Personally, I'm not a fan. It's going straight to D tier for me. Some of the guys really like it, and it'll beat up, and eventually, it will be kind of smooth, I guess. But I'm not gonna take the time to do that. Next on the list, oh, I actually missed a really slow disc. We'll kind of go with the twins here. So the landmine, I'm going to give a C tier. The landmine is basically a polecat, except the rim is thicker than a polecat's. So, and the top of the disc is like a hard 90-degree corner, whereas the polecat's like rounded at least a little bit. This one's like kind of sharp when you first get it. It only is available in a base plastic, so it beats up really quick, and because the top is dead flat when you hit something, instead of the wing curving downwards like on most discs, it starts curving upwards, and it's just not great. The one I had only lasted like 7 or 8 rounds before it was so bent that I just couldn't use it. The disc that I replaced it with, though, and this is supposed to be like a stable 2-speed. Think like a Berg, kind of like something slow like that. The other version of that they have though is the depth charge, and the depth charge is basically the landmine, but designed to be able to be made in premium plastics. So this is actually available in a normal survival plastic, which is similar to like Star, but it's also available in a plastic called Collapse, which is very, very flexible. It's definitely a unique hand feel, and people that I've showed it to, you either really like it or you really don't. But in the survival plastic, I mean, it's a great flyer. I used the landmine for a while, and then when mine got too beat up, I switched to a depth charge, and I think just the uniqueness of it, as well as coming in premium, gives it a step above the landmine. I mean, it's basically the landmine in premium, if we're being honest. And I'm pretty sure they're the same plate numbers too. So, one sec, let me move this set up here. Next, let's look at the Rot. The Rot is the first beaded putter that they put out, and it's just a straight flying putter. It feels great, especially in the isolation plastic. In isolation in this, it's kind of like Gummy Champion. So like you get a lot of grip out of it. It's amazing, and it's very curved. rim. Uh, Pretty much that's all there's to say. But it's a basic putter, but it feels really great in the hand for me. I would have been putting these last year if they had already been out, but sadly they kind of came towards the end of last year, and at that point, I was getting ready to kind of stop playing for the winter, so I wasn't about to go buy 10 just in case I didn't make the team or whatever next year. So, but fantastic. This I lost the one that I had really fast, so the only one I own now is like a special edition one, and I don't want to lose it. So I need to get another one maybe. But there's some other discs in my bag that we're gonna talk about at a later date. So there's a reason why I don't have the rot in my bag. The next slowest disc we got, well, maybe not slowest, but this is the Area 51. The Area 51, we're gonna move this up to B because that's average. Sorry, I didn't say that before. The Area 51 I had was my approach disc for all of last year, and it was a pink one just like in the photo, and it was ration, and it's so beat in that the wing has started to like curl into the flight plate at the bottom, so I don't get a clean release anymore. But it's honestly one of my favorite discs. It's like a zone flight when you get them new, and of course it will beat in. The one I have that's curling under itself is pretty beat in, and so it's pretty straight now. But they're a little less stable and premium, so it's kind of nice that you can get them in base for pretty cheap. I think they're like $8 maybe 10. But the thing I really liked about it was they're really shallow. They're so they feel kind of like fairways, and I think that's kind of unique in the zone slots. A lot of them can be kind of deep. So for me, it's an A tier, I feel like. Just because of the uniqueness of it, and I think that really sets it apart from most of the other overstable approaches that you see on the market. I have one other putter to put on the list, and it's going straight into B tier. I'm just gonna say it's the Bleak. That's what I putted with all last year. Very similar to like an AVR style, not beaded. It's pretty neutral, but if you get some speed on it when throwing, they'll start to give you some turn to the right, and it never really comes out. It'll just turn, and then when it's done turning, we'll just finish straight. So it did have its uses, and if you throw on a little bit of anhyzer, it will just kind of hold that the whole way. So a pretty good neutral flyer if you're looking for that. That's not a beaded putter. One of the discs that came in my pack, my team pack, was this frag. The frag and the apocalypse, which isn't on my list. I do own an apocalypse, but we're not going to talk about it because I haven't thrown it. But the frag is basically like a 4-speed, but it has like a 45-degree angle for the whole wing, so it has the weight up as high as possible, and it is as overstable as you could make a 4-speed basically. It comes in a really grippy and soft plastic, similar to the collapse depth charge that we talked about, but it's just nobody needs that. I could maybe get it 125 when I was throwing it like straight up and down. For comparisons, I can get a zone to about 200, so it's really not something you need. It's fun to play around with, but nothing you need. This is one of those discs they did it to do it. It's kind of a meme, but if you really like the frag, you really like it, but I can't recommend it to anybody, especially with some of these other discs on the list, including the Proximity Mine and Area 51. Like, those are more normal approach discs, so if you're looking to throw a lot of Doomsday, I would skip the frag. After that, we have my personal approach disc now, which is the Crisis. The Crisis is a very stable 4-speed. It kind of has more of a 5-speed shaped rim, I would say. It's about the same depth of a 5-speed, so I think that's why I like it. Well, it feels like it does anyway, so I think that's why I like it more than zones and stuff. I've never been a fan of the zone or the mint. I tried using the pig for a while, and I couldn't get used to that either. But for some reason, I really landed on the Crisis. It is more stable than a zone, so I only get like 175 out of it. But It's a perfectly flat top, extremely smooth in the survival plastic that I have it in. Um, Sorry about that. Um, just a fantastic disc. For me, A tier. It's like a zone OS basically. Like if you have never been a zone guy or you were always having trouble with your forehands, then you get the zone OS. It's like that, but for me. So I gotta put it up here. It replaced my Area 51 just when the Area 51 got too straight. Uh, Moving up from that, we'll talk about my first ever disc with them, which is the Flat Earth. The Flat Earth is a very neutral to slightly understable 5 speed. Um, think like a Mako, similar to that, just very straight. Um, they are a little bit domey. Domey's not really the right word. They have a little bit of like a pop top to them, kind of. If you do have a faster arm speed though, these do get very flippy for a lot of people. So I wouldn't recommend these if you're throwing your mids over 300 feet. But if you're getting about 225 to 250 on your mids, the Flat Earth would be a great flyer for you. But I'm leaving it solidly in B because the ones that I had in my store when I was running the store, as well as the ones I bagged, all had some like this weird micro bead flashing going on the bottom, and it just wasn't pleasant. So um, I think that's gonna have to bump it down to a C actually for me, just because of that. I don't like recommending discs that you have to sit there and sand. I have heard that it's gotten better, but I haven't ordered new ones because I have so many already. Um, so solid flight. If you don't mind doing, the T-pad sanding, B tier, mid. But there's another disc on the list that's basically replaced it for me, which I would recommend even unless you really like the Mako's hand feel. I would probably get this other disc instead. Just because you can't really power up on one of these, but you could power up on this other disc. Um, Next on the list, we'll look at the scavenger here. The first scavenger I ever had, they sent out in a starter pack, and it was a little understable because the discs were only like 150 to 160 grams, but they were in base plastic, which seems to be more stable than other plastics for whatever reason. When I got it in premium though, I just didn't fall in love with the hand feel, and it was never as flippy as the numbers say. It's supposed to be -2 1. To me, it was really just like another flat Earth, like just kind of straight to maybe a little understable, but not as understable as they made it out to seem. So for me, it's going to be a C tier just because the flight numbers are off. And even if I needed an understable disc from them, the hand feels not that great. I'd prefer the Flat Earth over the Scavenger any day. Next up in the mid ranges, we have the uh, the Desolation, which is their overstable 5 speed. Um, I'm gonna say mid tier already. Like I'm just gonna leave it at B. The Desolation is very stable. It does come. I like the plastic line that it's in, which is the toxic waste line. So you get toxic waste, biohazard, and now you also get fatal. So you can get it in a variety of stiffnesses, with fatal being the hardest, toxic waste kind of in the middle, biohazard on the bottom. So it gives you an option in the wintertime, which is nice to have that biohazard that's too soft in summer but nice for winter. And you also get fatal, which is really stiff but still kind of like a grippy plastic, which is what I personally like. So for me, it goes B tier just because the wing on it, I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of a lot of overstable mid wings, but if it doesn't bother you, then it's a great disc, and I have no problems recommending it outside of that. So for me, B tier. It may be an A tier for some people, just especially because once you start beating them in, they fly fantastic. The other mid on the list I'm gonna put up here is the Wasteland. The Wasteland I got along with the Scavenger in that same starter pack. I have thrown max weights of both of those now. When I got in the starter pack, it was okay. It was pretty straight to maybe like -1 1 is what I thought. The most recent one I got though is in their isolation plastic, and when it got here, well, the first thing I noticed is how domey the top was, but it's also got like a weird shouldery thing that kind of like you have the wing, but then like the shoulder kind of angles up, and so it's uncomfortable to even attempt to forehand, and for me anyways. And I'm not a good forehander either, so I need something that's actually stable, and this felt really like zero turn, like 0.5 fade. It's rated as 1 fade, which was kind of a maybe on if I could forehand it. But because of how straight it is, which, straight's great. Domey, if you like a domey disc, is great. It feels great on backhand, and it feels great in the hand. But I need discs that I can use both forehand and backhand because I only carry like 19 discs maybe. Um, so yeah, for me, B tier. Actually, I would give it C tier for me. Just because of that dominess, weird pop top thing they have going on is really kind of a pain. Moving up from there is, oh no, we still have one more mid range. This is the Despair, which I have in Shockwave. Shockwave is like a slightly grippier survival. And if you remember, survival's like Star. I also have it in survival though. The survival one is a little less stable, but they're both basically like -1/1 typical buzz flight, except you only have to throw 225 to 250 to get it, which is nice because with a buzz, unless I'm really pumping them out there, they don't get that little turn, little fade like the pros do, and they seem to play more like 0/1. So for me, the buzz A tier. I mean the despair A tier for me. It's fantastic, great hand feel. Really really like it. I'm almost tempted to go S tier with this, but I have two other discs I really want to put in S tier and I don't want to clog it up, so I would say like a tweener AS area. Let's see. Next on our list, now we're moving into the fairways here. Look at the blackout here. So the blackout, if you're into Doomsday discs, then you're into the blackout basically. The blackout was kind of their best disc that they had out for a while. So it's basically their version of the leopard. If you're an Innova thrower, you definitely start up with a leopard and you got a soft spot for it. Well, if you're a Doomsday thrower, you got a soft spot for the blackout. It's in that USA line, like I said earlier, so it comes in a variety of stiffnesses. Personally, I have the Fatal Blackout. Um, you can get them from kind of like 0/1 stability and biohazard, and then the fatal one I have flies like the numbers -2/1, and then maybe the toxic waste is just a little more stable than that, but not all the way up to probably more like -1/1. Sorry about my phone going off. The disc that's going to be in everybody's bag. I'm going to leave it as a B tier just because it's not really anything special. It's special within Doomsday just because of how popular it is, but other than that, kind of B tier. And another disc that just came out that's very similar is the Chemtrail. Probably a little less stable than the Blackouts, but it comes in this nice like halo retina plastic. They also have done it half and half, and they now also have a half normal and half glow version that just came out. But more or less the same flight, so I'm going to put that in B tier as well. I do like the hand feel of this more, but I don't bag one. I did order the glows. I ordered 2 of them, hoping that they're a little more stable than this run, just because I don't have a use for like a -3/1 personally most of the time. But if you have a lower arm speed though, it's going to fly great for you. This I would say goes more like this. Like, I'm not organizing these front to back really, but I would say most people are gonna like the Chemtrail more than the Blackout. Let's see. We got 2 more fairways. The Ice Age is going straight into C tier. Basically, it's like a more stable T-Bird, but it feels deep. Like you gotta have. I don't have a hand big enough for this thing. It just doesn't feel good in the hand. It is a stable 7 speed. I think it's like 7403. Just not a fan. It is in the USA line, so there are a lot of plastic choices on it, or there should be. And if there aren't already, there will be. But definitely for me, just C tier. Not the best. Not mid tier, because you'd way rather have a T-Bird than this. So for me, C tier. I'm hoping that they release something else to kind of give us a better T-Bird at some point. Last fairway like 7 to 8. Oh, I guess I have two more. They have the solar death ray. This might be hard to see in this photo, but you can see these rings on it. So it has like a ring top similar to like a Innova Sonic, I believe, has like ridges on top. For me, for whatever reason, I can't grip the disc as well with those ridges. So it's nothing special flight wise. It's just straight, but it has a weird hand feel. So if you really like the hand feel of this, probably be A tier for you. For most people, maybe it's mid tier just because it's unique, but for me, straight to C tier. I like that they try to innovate with stuff like this, but just didn't work this time around for me. The last fairway we have is the Lockdown. This is their 9-speed, really overstable disc. I'm going to put this solidly in B tier. It's just like a Firebird when you get it in Shockwave. The other versions are a little less stable, but they do also make this in ration plastic, which is the base plastic. So if you want to start a cycle quickly, you can with the ration stuff, and then keep your survival in for when you really need an overstable disc. But it's nothing special. The Firebirds would be the same thing. I do really like how pretty the Shockwave plastic is though, and how grippy it is. I'm a big fan of that. The numbers on this is 9.5, -1.2. I would rate it in Shockwave, 0.3. Ration's probably like 0.2, and then the isolation is more like accurate to numbers of the -1.2 that they say. So you can get it kind of in a variety of stabilities as well. Moving up from there, we have the Dystopia. Let me get an S tier out of the way. All right, Cataclysm, straight S tier. This is basically a slightly straighter but still overstable driver. This is my preferred driver. If I can throw this on a hole, if it's not too wind, mine's kind of beat in now, but it's like beat into the point that it's extremely neutral. If you let it fly straight, it's just gonna keep going straight. When you first get them, they're gonna have that late stability that you want, but they're never gonna be so stable that they're going to be skipping left on you super hard. They can handle a little bit of headwind when they're first new, but after a while that does become kind of a problem. So for me, I'm putting it in S tier though. It comes in Survival, which is a great feeling plastic. Just a fantastic disc all around. When you think of like how pros throw a Destroyer and it's like got that little bit of flip and the late stability, that's the Cataclysm for guys that can only throw 300 feet. Just a perfect disc. Since I just said Destroyer, let's talk about the Plague. The Plague is our Destroyer. It comes in a multitude of plastics. The one in that picture happens to be uranium plastic, which they don't make anymore. But it comes in, toxic waste. I think it comes in fatal now. I might be mistaken though. Biohazard, radioactive waste, which is the glow version, and it does not come in ration, sadly, which I'm a little sad about. It's very stable. Like for most people, it's probably going to be more like 0 turn 3 fade. I can get it probably as far as my Cataclysm if I'm really throwing it as hard as I can, but even then it doesn't turn at all. So, and I gotta do everything I can, which leads me to believe it's really freaking stable. So I don't bag one. There are some people who love them. If they came out with this in ration, I'd probably try to cycle one maybe, but just kind of mid for me. It's normally designed and everything. It has good hand feel, but I can't see putting it in A, and it's not bad enough to put it in C. So we're gonna go with B. Next one, I have is the Pestilence. The Pestilence for me is straight S tier. Now, I don't bag this disc because it's too flippy. This has 4 turn on it. Now, the reason why I'm putting this S tier though is that even though it has a little bit weird of a hand feel to be able to get that 4 turn, this is the perfect disc to give to people who just want to throw drivers. Like they just like the hand feel of a driver, even though they don't have the arm speed for it or something. I only throw 300 feet and I can't use this because it's too flippy. Well, I throw like 325. I can't use this because it's too flippy. If I tried to throw this, even on max hyzer, it will get all the way up, turn over, and get into a roller. I was bagging it for a little while just to throw tomahawks and thumbers, but it's really designed for somebody who's throwing like 175, 200, like an older player or a younger player. And this is going to be a great first driver for their max distance disc. So for me, S tier. Not a lot of companies have something this understable. Like this is more understable than a Mamba is. It comes in a lot of plastics because it's the USA made line, and sometimes you can get them, kind of pretty with a ring on them and stuff. Just S tier. Fantastic disc. If you want to learn to hyzer flip, this is a great disc to learn. Next on the list, we're gonna talk about the Dystopia. Some people, the Dystopia is kind of like supposed to be kind of neutral, like a wave basically. The only one I've thrown is extremely stable, and I have other people tell me that the one they have was super understable. So I'm putting it in C tier just because it's not doesn't seem to be very consistent, and nobody can really tell me that theirs flies like the numbers. So for that reason, I'm out. The last disc on this list is the Famine. The Famine is kind of weird. It has kind of the same problem that the Pestilence has, where they've lowered the wing to get that understability, which gives it a weird hand feel for forehands, but at the same time, it comes in the USA line of plastics that I really, really like. So for that reason, and I do bag one of these, I think for that reason, I'm going to have to give it an A tier. This is going to be your step up from the Pestilence. Once you start getting some more distance and this gets too flippy, you're going to move into the Famine. So I'm giving it a little bump for the beginner status, but also because it's just a great disc. This is not my max distance disc usually because I'm not that great at throwing on hyzer, but if you can throw on hyzer really well and kind of high in the air, that's usually my problem is I don't throw it high enough. This could be a max distance disc for you in the Doomsday lineup. But anyways, that's my list. Tell me what you guys think. If you want to make a tier list and send it to me or tell me where I'm wrong, put it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear it.